there was an argument that was already in full swing, and it was a women versus men argument. And these women just kept listing all the stuff that they want in a man or what they deserved. And I said, okay, say you got the guy that's got this kind of, paycheck, and he's this, and he's got these values, and he treats you nice and all that type of stuff, educated and everything. And I said, say you got that guy. Why would he want you?
What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Thatbaldbrutha, and today we're going to be sliding over to the LUVSTRONG podcast, hosted by actor and martial artist Michael Jai White and his wife, Gillian White. Now, the LUVSTRONG podcast primarily talks about strength and fitness, but they also talk about strength and love. They discuss aspects of relationships, different things that work, their own experiences, and today they talk about modern dating and the infamous table conversation. I know you're ready for this. Buckle up. Let's get into it.
Yeah, nowadays you hear about what people want, and people have their list, and the thing I want to encourage people to do is first think about themselves and what work they have to do, because if you don't work on yourself, how good are you going to be in a relationship? That is the main component. Now, I'm reminded of a story that I've told so many people, and so many people who know me has heard this story. It's a long time ago when I first came to LA, and I was, hanging out with a buddy, took me to this house party. And we got to this house party, and there was an argument that was already in swing, in full swing, and it was a women versus men argument. Now, the men were getting trounced by the time I got there, and these women just kept listing all the stuff that they want in a man or what they deserved. And nobody knew me from Jack, but I'm just listening, and I dared chime in. But these women were like, I want somebody who's got this, makes this much money. And by the way, it's kind of weird because you hear it nowadays and it was just trending. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. But they said, I want a man that's got this, he's got a sense of humor, family value, all this stuff. And so I dared chime in because I just got wrapped up in it, and I said, excuse me. And I said, okay, say you got the guy that's got this kind of, paycheck, and he's this, and he's got these values, and he treats you nice and all that type of stuff, educated and everything. And I said, say you got that guy. Why would he want you? And everybody was like, oh, and I'm like, no, I'm not trying to diss. But the women act like I was really trying to be disrespectful. Yeah. But I said, no. I really want to know, what do you bring to the table? Why would that man want you? And the interesting thing is that I didn't get an answer. These women look like that was never asked of them, right? Someone was talking about what I got this, and I said, well, you're talking about your looks. There's other people that have looks. What do you bring? I said, I'll give you an example. Are you a good in conversation? Are you empathetic? Are you a good cook? Do you have a sense of humor? Are you a nurturing type of person? The things that make for a good relationship. Like, what about those things? And it kind of brought the whole mood to this somber place, because it got kind of deep, and it was kind of like they really hadn't thought about it.
So right off the top, he talks about the importance of taking care of yourself, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Something that we push quite a bit here on this channel is making sure that you are addressing your bad behaviors, bad habits, dealing with the trauma that you've dealt with, because we all have dealt with trauma, right? We can't ignore that, and you have to get therapy. You can deal with some of it on your own, but you do need to get somebody professional to help walk you through those steps. And you might be against it, and that's your prerogative, but at the end of the day, it needs to be done. Now, going over to the conversation he had at the party, I like how he identified the fact that physical characteristics does not make you unique, okay? I know that social media and hip hop music, all that stuff promotes that kind of thought process, that just the way how big your butt is, how big your breasts are, how you look, somehow that makes it supposed to make you more attractive to the opposite sex. But there's more to there's more to you as a person that gets overlooked. We don't spend enough time talking about the internal characteristics that make you who you are. And understanding that that's what really matters when you come to the table. Yeah, the other stuff is nice too. But the reality of it is, if you are planning to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want to make sure that that person is someone you can stand to be around. Okay? Because if you can't stand to be around them, they're cute, she's gorgeous, but she's an asshole. I mean, if that's your thing, God bless, Godspeed. Most people want someone that can have a good conversation, has good moral values, has good attributes, is a caring person, as he said, nurturing, has other intangible talents. Those are things that are important. Those are just as important as what you bring to the table financially and job-wise and all that, because ultimately that's really what matters.
Yeah, that sometimes it doesn't dawn on folks what they're bringing. Like, what are you truly, in reality, going to bring? Yeah, of course, you want everything in the moon and the stars, the soup and the salad, but why do you deserve that? It's not a disc. I'm asking everybody, why do you deserve it, right? And you need to answer that question, because you'll never be secure if somebody can bring what you're bringing easily. Why do they want you?
So right off the top, he talks about the importance of taking care of yourself, not just physically, but also emotionally. Now, I know that may be hard to hear for some, but you need to hear it. It's something that we push heavily on this channel. It is important. I cannot stress enough. It's important to work on your mental health and making sure that you are addressing any past traumas, any negative traits, to make sure you don't bring any of that to your future relationships. You have to get out of this headspace that you got your shit together, you're all good, you don't need no help. Trust me, I've been there. You walk around, think you got it all together, but you're a shambles and you have no idea. And it wasn't until I got therapy that I was able to get myself back together and become a better person, better man, so that I could be better for my relationships. I like how he talked about when he was in the conversation at the party, that he asked the woman, why would the man want you? And a lot of times women hear that and they get defensive, and it's not about that. As he was trying to say, it's not about you personally, like you as a disrespectful comment. But if all you're going to throw up is, oh, I have great looks, I am this, or I'm all that. But wait a minute, what about your ability to care for somebody? Your empathy? Are you sympathetic? Are you compassionate? Are you someone that nurtures well? Do you cook? I mean, what other characteristics do you bring other than your looks? Because looks are a dime a dozen. There's always a beautiful face. There's always somebody else. So that if that's all you have, that ain't gonna work. You got to be able to come with more than that. And yet money and material things are great, but those things are fleeting. They don't always stick around. You're not gonna always have that. There may be some dark days where you are out of a job, and if all you got left is your looks, no personality, what are you working with?
I'm on social media all the time, and I'm seeing different women talking about what they want in a man, and they want a good man who's fine and has money and a car and an education and a job, and the list goes on and on and on. And ladies, I'm like, there is nothing wrong with wanting what you want, but the thing is that sometimes you have to make adjustments. It's not about having this perfect person with everything on your list, because then sometimes it's hard to find a person like that. You'll be lonely for the rest of your life waiting to find someone who has all those check marks on your list. And like Mike said, it's not always about what the man has to offer. It's what you can bring too, because the thing is, it's about a team.
And see, right there, Gillian is talking to the ladies, but the statement she's making applies across the board. I think that men also have their standards, and we also have our lists and check boxes and whatnot, but we got to be realistic about our boxes too, fellas. We can't be looking for a fast ass woman out here who's so all voluptuous and all that. All we focusing on is the physical. And I would challenge you, brothers, you got to dig deeper than that, because at the end of the day, if you're going to keep this woman around you, you're going to need more than physicality, because guess what? Bodies age. And I don't care how many times you fly down to DR or wherever you're going to get your BBLs done, at some point in time, it's going to look ridiculous. Okay. So all you're going to have left is this woman's personality. So you need to be damn sure that you got somebody you can stand to be around. Otherwise, you're going to spend your life being miserable. And to everybody, ladies and men alike, as Gillian pointed out, there is no perfect. So walking around here with this little shopping list of what you want and checking boxes, oh, he don't meet this or she don't meet that, I can't deal with them. You're going to find yourself by yourself. If you're not good with that, then understand that relationships, like most things in life, require some level of compromise or adjustment, as Gillian put it. You are coming together with somebody to be a team member, right? For y'all to work together towards something, okay? We ain't out here looking to sponsor nobody. If you're looking to be sponsored, you need to go find somebody that can take care of that for you. When you're looking for a real relationship that's built on real healthy love, it's going to require you coming in, understanding you're going to contribute and be a part of the team. Now, what the contribution looks like, that varies based on what you got going on for you at that moment. And for those of you that are looking for sponsorship, great. But guess what? Here's the bad news. The men out there that are able to sponsor you ain't looking for a relationship. And they're not going to care about what's going on with you because they got somebody else behind you. There's always an alternate, always another option, always a bigger, better deal. So understand the choice is yours. Choose wisely.
If anything, I would really encourage people to do is not try to think that you got to be perfect, right? A lot of people like to present this perfect package. Like they have no flaws. Let me tell you, your flaws are what makes you, what makes you unique and authentic. And if you hide your flaws, you're limiting the possibility of being loved for who you are. I'll say that again. If you are hiding your flaws, you keep a person from loving you because we're more about our flaws than our attributes. To be honest with you, think about it. If I put my flaws out on Front Street, I can deal with them and get better from that. Okay, so that gives you a possibility of getting better, and you contribute more. So with this whole ego shit, it doesn't serve you. So even if somebody is saying things about you, and especially if more than one person is saying the same damn thing, you need to listen to that. Maybe you got some work to do. I don't know how people thought that they're perfect, that they don't have anything work to do.
Yeah, I've actually met people who've been like, "There's nothing wrong with me."
Yeah,
I'm like, come on now, you're a human being. There's something wrong with all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to find it, not be delusional and act like you're perfect. You know what I mean? And work on it.
Social media has been a gift and a curse for our society. A lot of people attach who they are to who they present. The key word is present online in social media to their subscribers and followers. And to Gillian's point, none of us are perfect. And you trying to present yourself as flawless is a waste of time. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to everybody else. Because at some point in time, those flaws are going to show themselves. And when they do, they're likely going to scare that person away. To Michael's point, understanding how we are our flaws, that's who we authentically are. That's a great quote to say that you are your flaws. That's what makes you authentic. And yes, flaws are bad things by nature, but they're things that need to be worked on, right? Just because you're a flawed individual doesn't mean you can't fix it. It's when you get to a mindset where you believe that the flaw isn't an issue. That's where ego gets in the way. You got to realize that everybody requires work, okay? And if you're afraid of doing that, then you're not going to have much success in relationships. You're going to keep hopscotching back and forth, finding frustration at every twist and turn, because you're going to end up meeting people who exhibit the same traits you exhibit, and you're going to find out that you're not going to like them. That's the funny thing about the universe. It has a way of letting you meet people who have similar traits that you have. You attract who you are.
I had to do a lot of self-work to make this happen, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. We knew each other 28 years ago, and we lost track, and we got back together. And I knew I had a lot of work to do because she was just a better person than me. Now, I'm not saying that to gas her up; it's just the truth. I knew that since I was allowing a certain amount of bullshit in my life, I was not as honest as her. She doesn't lie. She doesn't, has never cheated on nobody. But me, I cheated on almost everybody I've ever been with, to be honest with you. And I used to go into relationships and I had all these women just on deck. They were my friends. You can't get mad. These are just friends. They've been friends of mine for a long time, knowing good and damn well that they're cheering the destruction of my relationship. And I already got a cushion should things go wrong. That was just some bullshit I grew up with. I knew that if I kept having that bullshit to lean on, and the fact that I allowed myself to be maybe 90 to 95% authentic or whatever, and allowed 5 to 10% of bullshit in my life because I was a damn sight better than other people in my mind, that was like the license for me to sometimes lie, even lie by omission, and not be 100%. But I knew if I did any of that, I would destroy the possibility of this relationship because I would know I didn't deserve her.
I know a lot of us tend, and even some of our friends, we tend to think that there's nothing wrong with us, And the thing is, I think if you dig deep, you can always find something that's wrong. And how Mike had to do some self-work to be the man he needed to be for me, I need to do some work too. And mine came from, and I know a lot of ladies out here can, agree with me on this, is that sometimes we go through trauma in past relationships. We weren't treated right, or we got cheated on, or, lied to, just all these things that sometimes a lot of us women deal with in relationships. And a lot of those things hold us up from finding true happiness again. That was the work I had to do, because a previous relationship I was in, I had to deal with all those things. And so I was traumatized. I was like, I don't even want to deal with men anymore. I don't want to deal with anybody. I just was like, I'm gonna just be good. I'm gonna be home. I'll become a cat lady. I don't care what I do. I just don't want to deal with anybody, because I was hurt. And that hurt put up a shield around me that I kind of had like a barrier. And so when Mike came back into my life, I held on to those insecurities, which made it very difficult in the beginning for us to fully blossom, because I was like, okay, I'm coming from cheating and lying and all kind of things, and I'm gonna get with this guy who is an actor, who's handsome and fitness and has his body and group and women love him. I'm like, why am I gonna put myself right back in that same position again? Like, I'd be stupid. But I had to realize the man he was and not compare him to anyone else that I dealt with in the past that did those things to me. And I've known Mike for a really long time. And although he said he had to do the work he had to do and how he was, I kind of knew the person he was. And so I gave myself that chance. I let down those walls and I opened myself up for love with him. And I'm so glad I did, because if I didn't, I would have missed out on this opportunity, because I actually was like, I'm good. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm good. I was like, I don't want to do this, because I'm not trying to put myself back in the same position I was in the past. Like, that's just dumb. But, sometimes as women, we hold on to so much trauma. Sometimes you got to let that go, open that door again, and allow yourself to be loved and for you to love again, because you don't know what's out there for you. And if you have the walls up blocking all that positivity, it's going to bounce right back off.
Now, gentlemen, that's a prime example of what happens when you have a great woman in your life. A great woman will get you to lift yourself up. You will, if you see the value that they bring to your life, it will make you want to be a better man or woman. I know in my current relationship, when I met my girlfriend, she came in and she was a breath of fresh air to me after everything that I had been through. But I knew that I wasn't 100% where I needed to be. And in dealing with her and allowing her space in my life, it gave me the opportunity to step up and learn how to be better at being better version of myself. It challenged me to work on those traits that I kind of worked on, but really hadn't put a lot of effort into. And sometimes when you need that. Right. And that's a good sign when you meet someone who can bring the best out of you, because that's what the whole point of this is. When you get into a relationship with somebody, Your goal is to have them bring the best out of you, and you bring the best out of them. And what Gillian was saying with women being traumatized, we all are traumatized, men and women alike. But understand that love is a gamble. Relationships are a gamble. They will always be that. You can only make sure that you present your best authentic self, do all the work that you can do, allow that person's energy, influence to help you become a better person, and you do the same and to bring that out of them as well. This all goes back to that first thing we talked about regarding coming together as a team and working together. That's ultimately what it's about. You can have a great relationship with somebody that at some point in time, they're going to piss you off. You're going to be upset with each other. You're going to have dark days. But the love that you have for each other, the understanding that this person is human and imperfect just like me, and that allows me the space to say, you know what, I have to have compassion and understanding, because there before with the grace of God go I. How can I chastise this person? How can I get upset with her when I am guilty or have been guilty of the same thing in the past? There were times when when people that I was dating didn't give me the benefit of the doubt. Why would I not now in turn do the same for her when she slips up and has a mistake or makes a flaw, or expect the same in return from her when I make a mistake?
Now, we can't reiterate how important that is, to know who you are and know what work you have to do.
Because we all have work. We are human beings. We have flaws. So don't think you're perfect.
Yep. And so, like, our friends, a lot of, like, we have a lot of friends, and some friends I say, and I'm always going to be honest. I'm always going to be honest. Until you work on that flaw of yours and realize you ain't perfect and start working on yourself, you ain't going to be happy with nobody, because you're miserable by your damn self.
You just gonna bring that into the next relationship.
Yeah, you gonna drag somebody into that shit? Mm-hmm. So it really starts with yourself and being truthful, not what your Facebook followers are telling you, okay? Because they're gonna tell you up is down and the moon is green or whatever if you say
anything to make you happy.
Yeah, so it's the reality versus the fantasy.
Yeah.
Another part of being in a relationship is being honest with yourself. I think that's the first thing you need to be. You need to understand where you're coming from and what you're about. What are you looking for, right? If you're out here trying to just have situationships, then have that. But if you're looking for a true relationship, you got to bring your authentic self. You got to be transparent. You got to be ready to be vulnerable, which means open yourself up to be hurt. And that's something that people don't like to hear either, but that is part of the game. That is part of what's required. But you have to still be your authentic self. You still got to work hard to be you, so that at the end of the day, that's all you're going to have. So if you haven't worked on yourself and got your own stuff together, you're just wasting people's time and your own.
So, we all got to walk that tightrope. Of course, I had to be as vulnerable and give somebody the power to destroy me, right? But ultimately, I knew I would heal if the worst happened. And if somebody would dare leave somebody who's there for them 100%, all their whole heart and soul in it, well, how often are they going to ever get that opportunity again? You should always feel, and I tell a lot of women friends, that if you've given yourself wholeheartedly and somebody kind of traipsed on you, feel sorry for them, because they may never have that again. And you have the power that given with the right person, that's gonna be a big component in your happiness. So don't look at it. If somebody dogs you, you gotta feel sorry for them. And it's not about revenge or anything else, because they're their own punishment.
And I know a lot of women can relate to this, because we all have been hurt. We've all dealt with some trauma in relationships, and that point where you just feel vulnerable. I like to say to women that even if you are going to open your heart again for someone else, you could possibly get hurt again. You could. But you got to not let that stop you. And I think that's what so many of us do. We let it stop us from ever being loved or loving again. And that's the key thing I want to, point I want to bring in this is, like, you got to keep trying, because there's something out there for you.
Life is about choices. People make them every day. And relationships are no different. Things could be going great as far as you're concerned, and then all of a sudden you get blindsided. But what their point Gillian and Michael are making is that you can't allow someone else's decision to be a personal affront against you, right? If they made that choice, they made that choice. Okay, life goes on. All too often we take everything so personal, and a lot of times it's not always us. I'm not saying it's never us, because there's been occasions, speaking for myself, there's been occasions when it's been me. So I'm not oblivious to that. But overall, it's not always only us. I'll say that. That person could be going through something themselves, dealing with some kind of trauma, some unchecked or unresolved issue that they have not figured out how to deal with, that keeps creeping up, insecurities, what have you, that's causing them to make these decisions. All you can do is respect the decision. That's it. There's no need for begging and pleading and getting angry and getting revenge. It's about accepting the fact that, okay, you've decided you no longer want to be with me. You're moving on with your life. I got to respect that. I may not be happy about it, but I'm not going to stand here and act like, okay, it's the end of the world, because it's not. The other part of that is you can't allow that experience to now get you to shut down and give up on love and say, you know, I can't find nobody. There's no one out there for me. Don't become a victim. Don't become a victim. Understand that that situation is what it was. There's other situations that'll come along and you have a chance again. You have to just keep the faith, keep yourself open to the possibility, realize that, okay, what I just went through, what can I learn from that situation so I don't take anything of that into the next situation? Were my boundaries clear? Was I checking all my flaws? Was I making sure I was being my authentic self? Was there areas I could have improved things? And focus on that. So that the next encounter will be different. Take it as a lesson learned rather than an end of the world apocalyptic type event. There's someone out there for all of us. Believe it or not, I know it sounds cliched, but it is. The right person's out there, but it starts with us. We gotta make sure that we're right first, and we will attract the right person.
Yeah. So, and you know, there's a lot of ego out there. All right. And if and here's the one thing I always say: I've never seen a person with a big ego who was happy. I'm gonna say it again.
Very true.
I've never seen a person with a big ego that was happy. It's not a coincidence.
No, it's not. I mean, ego is what gets people in trouble, right?
Yeah.
It can ruin relationships. Ego's not a good thing.
No, ego and pride is not the same damn thing. Don't get it twisted. Now, you know, I can be prideful of what I got, and I know what I got, whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't mean it's an ego. It's not the same thing. Ego is when somebody is like, you know, really tripping that they have no work to be done. That they're beyond reproach. We're not talking about that, because that's one thing that in this relationship, we got no ego whatsoever.
Yeah, we don't have any ego.
And that's what makes it work. You know, because if anybody's doing something or has a standpoint from a place where they're protecting their ego, well, they're not dealing in the truth.
Yeah.
And if you're not dealing in the truth, you're gonna pay for it.
know?
Yeah, sometimes you hear me say that person needs some enemies because their friends are not being honest. I say that a lot because
a lot of times people surround themselves with people who will feed into that delusion. So.
Yeah, and on social media, you're gonna find nothing but people that's gonna agree with whatever bullshit you tell yourself. And know that. Because your ego is still trying to worm your way out of it and do no work for yourself.
Our egos will get us into more trouble than we care to admit. How many times have you been in an argument or disagreement with somebody, and no matter what they said, you have to be right? Your perspective is the only perspective in the argument. There is no other way. There is no other thing to consider. It's only how you see things. You can't come into a relationship with heavy ego, because you're never going to get anything accomplished. Because you're constantly going to be, because ego will have you believing that you can't do anything wrong. Everything you say is right. You're perfect. So how could you possibly be wrong? And anything you say must be taken for gospel. And in relationships, it requires listening to understand and then responding accordingly. It requires dialogue. It requires conversation. If you and I have a disagreeing opinion, all right, I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with it, but let's figure out how we can where can we meet in the middle? It can't be always slamming fists on tables and it's my way or the highway. You can do that by yourself. That works for you as a single person. It doesn't work very well in relationships. I can tell you from experience. You have to come to the table willing to listen and compromise, willing to understand the other person's perspective, try to empathize, at least sympathize with what they're going through, what they're experiencing, hear them out, right? Don't always try to come up with, and that's one thing for me as a man, and most men can agree with this, is the challenge in relationships is not having an answer. All too often, our woman will come to us and tell us what's going on in her life, what's the problem, what's happening, what she's dealing with, how she's feeling. And we're like, okay, do this. Oh, that's easy, fix that. Oh, this. And we're offering solutions when all she wants us to do is just listen. Gentlemen, if you take nothing away from this video right now, I want you to write this down. Just listen. Most of the time, that's all they want. They don't want you to fix it. They just want you to understand and validate their feelings. Hey, honey, I'm sorry that you went through that. It sounds terrible. How are you feeling about that right now? You know, do you want me to give you some advice or you just want me to listen? And it's okay to ask that question because sometimes we don't know, right? And that's part of communication. Understanding what she wants from you in that moment, the same way you women, you need to find out what we want from you in that moment. When we come to you and tell you stuff, we don't always want you to fix it either. We want you to hear us. Being vulnerable, men and women together, it is a challenge. It's a challenge. And if you haven't been through that, I'm sure most of you watching have, you understand where I'm coming from. But ultimately, it takes patience and understanding if you want a healthy relationship.
There's so many people out here now that all they care about is material things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's what makes up their life. And I call it and please don't get offended because I don't generalize everybody, but I call it the basketball player wives kind of mentality where, you know, it's like these certain women, all they care about is their jewelry and their cars and the house they live in and the trips they get to go on with their girlfriends and, you know, how many Louboutins they have in their closet. It's a little ridiculous because I think a lot of times I feel like people aren't truly happy. Like you're not really happy in your relationship. You're happy with what that person in your relationship is providing you with in terms of material things. And that's not what relationship and love is about. I mean, me personally, I'd rather be in love with someone and have someone love me and respect me and be considerate of me and put my needs, you know, in front of theirs sometimes and vice versa, than buying me a new car or coming home with a diamond necklace or things that just, to me, are meaningless. They're nice. Don't get me wrong. Everybody likes nice things, but that's not what's important in a relationship. What's important in a relationship is how someone treats you and the time you invest and the time they invest in you. That's what's important. And I think too many women nowadays have that mentality. And I want to speak about men too, because men, on the other hand, they care about is what a woman looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, can I get a woman with this badass body and this beautiful face and the long hair, you know, or whatever their thing is. And a lot of times that's just his surface. You know, just because what someone looks like on the outside does not prove what's on the inside, and what's on the inside is the most important thing.
How many of us have actually taken time to think about the fact that we're out here striving and struggling and pushing ourselves to achieve all these material things, and in reality, they're not going to give us the happiness that we seek? Again, society tells you that having all this money, jewelry, cars, and gadgets are going to bring you kind of bliss because that's what the commercial shows you. But remember, people, it's all TV. It's a commercial. Social media is not reality. Even reality TV isn't reality. Sorry to burst your bubble. These people have millions of dollars and they're still miserable. And they're even more miserable because they know that any person, male or female, that tries to get with them is looking at them likely, not always, likely for the fact of what they can give and what they can do.
Yeah, but we know too many unhappy, miserable ass millionaires.
Yes, we do.
Miserable ass
It
millionaires.
shows you that money isn't everything and it cannot buy happiness.
Not at all. And those miserable ass millionaires, some, I ain't gonna call nobody out, but a lot of them, they say, "Well, what is it, Mike? What is it?" They, they're like, everybody else. But it's sad because they bought into something that they thought that once they had money, all the other components come into play. Well, you are who you are. You are authentically you. So whatever your flaws are, when you get money and power, your flaws magnify. Your flaws become worse. And more people are not going to call you on it.
It's going to attract the wrong
fake
type of the fake friends, the fake women, because everybody's coming after your money and they really don't care about you.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know? So it's not always, the thing you want to strive for in life.
Yeah. Because I tell you, there's people that's flat broke that I'd rather have in my house and break bread with than these, millionaires or very famous people who are morally corrupt.
And a lot of people try to hide behind the glitz and the glamour so you can be bedazzled with the jewelry and gifts, and you don't really realize this person is flawed to the teeth. They got so much work that needs to be done that they're unmasking all of it with trips and money and showering you with gifts and love bombing you to death, and you have no clue who they really are because you're so captivated with what they're showing you and how they're taking you here and whining and dining you, but they ain't all they're not everything that you actually want. And to Michael's point, yes, if you're flawed, money only makes that worse. It makes it bigger. And he said it really quickly though, and no one's going to tell you because they don't want to be in your bad graces. They want to experience you and your lifestyle. They don't care about you as a person. They only care about what you can do for them. And to Gillian's point, you're only going to be attracting takers. But I imagine you're like most people, you want a substantive relationship, something that goes beyond the surface, where you can appreciate a person's characteristics and you want them to appreciate your characteristics. But the important part, and I know we keep circling back around to this, is you have to work on yourself to make sure that you have great character. There's a lot of stories in the news these days with people that got all kinds of money and they are, as Mike put it, morally corrupt. We're not going to go into naming names, but you ain't got to go far. If you look over here to your right, along that video line feed, you'll see something along there with somebody's name, a rapper or some kind of famous celebrity who's been up to no good. Cat Williams put it out there saying that all kinds of deviants are going to get their comeuppance this year, and these are all rich people. No one's saying you shouldn't pursue money and try to become wealthy and be successful, but what we're saying is don't attribute happiness to that. Yeah, who you surround yourself with is important. In today's society, everybody has their eyes focused on likes and follows and subscribers and comments, and they're attributing who they are based on how many people like them that particular day, week, month, what have you. And you have to understand that the people that are following you on these social media channels, they don't know you like that. They're going to validate what you're showing them. They don't know that that's really you or not. That's why you have to have a circle of friends, a tight circle of friends that are honest with you. I don't want nobody around me that's going to feed into my bullshit. I need people that's going to say to me, you know what, that's wrong, or you need to fix this, or what was that about? You need that. It helps to keep you humble, helps to keep you grounded, and if you following behind what everybody tells you on social media and all that rah they give you, you're going to get your head's going to get so big that you're not going to be able to hear anybody in anything. And then you'll wonder why you're by yourself. What's wrong with everybody? Why people can't stand me? Because you're not being authentic. You're not being who you are. You're allowing the persona that you're presenting to define who you are, and it's not you. Your ego is feeding off of that validation, that hollow validation at that, because again, these people don't know you to give you any kind of compliment other than, oh, that's a nice picture. But you take it as this person must like me because they like my picture.
And that's the most important thing. I mean, that's the whole point we're trying to drive, is you have to work on yourself, because so many people have so many flaws that they don't want to acknowledge. And the thing is, it's okay to have flaws. We're human. We have flaws. And like I think you spoke on earlier, in terms of presenting yourself to someone from the very beginning. I mean, I can remember how many relationships I've been in the past where I try to assimilate into their lives. Like I try to become a person that I felt would be better for them and how their lifestyle. And it wasn't until Michael that I really felt like I could truly be myself. And I didn't have to put on any type of anything. I was myself. You accepted me, flaws and all, as I accepted you. But that's what I think is the missing chip in so many relationships, because in that beginning stage, it's always a presentation. Yeah. Always a presentation. You're going to put on your best face. You're going to be perfect with roses and candy and dates and on time and all these perfect things, right?
Yeah, you're representative.
You're representative to capture that person. But the thing is, you can only keep up that facade for so long.
And they're absolutely right. In the beginning of relationships, we all wear masks and present our best image forward, have our best conversations, all kinds of game flowing. And then eventually, when the masks come off, the reality sets in. This is who you are. Your flaws are going to show. Your true self will be there. And if you can't accept the person for who they are, or they can't accept you for who you are, then it's not going to work. Because the core fundamental quality of a healthy relationship is the bare bones understanding that I take you for who you are, and you take me for who I am. And understanding that we're both still evolving, right? We're both actively moving and doing things to better ourselves. We're not giving up on life, sitting around waiting to die. We're trying to better ourselves. I'm hoping to lift you up. You lift me up in return. That goes back to the whole teammate thing we're talking about, which is a big theme here. Understanding the importance of my characteristics are what they are, and you accepted me lock, stock, and barrel. No judgment, no condescending attitude, no disrespect, taking me for what I am. Trust me, when you find somebody who will take you and accept you for who you are and let you be and appreciate, that's another thing, appreciate your authentic self, you better hold on tight to them.
We both had to work on ourselves.
On ourselves.
Yeah. And just I think about the work that she had to do, Kat, who's almost never been faithful to anybody, but she had to trust me. So when something might have looked, shifty on my side, and she was doubting me, I had to accept all of that. I had to make up for it to show exactly that I was 100.
And he did a good job, I have to say. You did a good job, because there was a time when I really was like, I know you remember that time, and I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And you said one thing to me, and it stuck with me, and I think that was what registered so much that made me go, if I go with how I'm feeling right now, I'm making a big mistake. And that was when you said, I let you go I lost you one time before. I'm not going to lose you again.
Yeah. So,
and the weight of that really kind of registered with me. It made me just kind of go, I got to give this a chance.
Brothers, have you ever felt like that with your woman? That you feel like you never want to lose her? That you're willing to do almost anything to keep her? This is what we talk about before when we talk about compromise. See, when you come into a relationship, you have to understand that it's not about you anymore. It's about how the other person will receive and view your activities. If you coming in and you want to be running the streets and doing whatever you want to do and thinking that's going to be okay with your mate, you got another thing coming. And when you're doing stuff, you have to make sure you're taking into account, what are you going to do to ensure to help this person understand that everything you're doing is in a respectful manner. You're conducting yourself the same way he described. I'm not going to let her insecurities or her concern about all these women around me as an actor be a thing. He went out his way to make sure that she was reassured. However he did that, but he did that. What are you willing to go out of your way to reassure your partner that you are going to be there, that you are there for them, only have eyes for them? And it's not about, oh, this person got insecurities. We all got insecurities. Let's cut the bullshit. You can portray yourself as being uber confident, but we know better than that. You're human at the end of the day. And when your woman or your man's not with you, you wondering, you thinking about it, you considering it, give or take whatever they had in their past. You're taking all that into consideration. communicating that with your partner so they understand how you feel and how they respond to your sharing that information is going to tell you how they're going to be with you in the relationship. If they don't care about your feelings and want to go ahead and still want to do what they want to do regardless and want you to get over it and figure it out, something to consider. But again, gentlemen, I ask you, make sure you understand that if you want to be with this woman, you have to be willing to reassure her, to show her that you care about her, to make her understand that she is the only thing you see. That's why it's so important that you understand where you are and are honest with yourself first, and then make sure you tell your partner. Treat that person the way you want to be treated. Show them that you care about them. You have to teach people how to love you right.
I mean, people have gone through their trauma, especially, my sisters. I know y'all gone through a whole lot, but if you give the ex-man the power to destroy your possibility with the next man, you are actually giving that dude that don't deserve it too much power in your life going forward.
So true.
Look at it that way and be like, hell with this cat. I'm gonna move on. I know I could love unconditionally, and don't let that hinder what you could have. And let us be an example of that, because this is a total example. She had a lot to lose, and she stuck with her brother.
I stuck with you.
We got to a place where it may not ever happen for me, and I'm gonna be all right with that. But I'm not gonna compromise any of my values just to be with someone else. And that was the best place to be to get where we are. Because, even though we knew we wanted this life together, we knew we wanted somebody and a family and, somebody who just, makes our world, to be honest, and I'll detour for a second. I'll say, I never even knew this was even possible, honestly, because I'd never seen a relationship like I have with her growing up. But, we knew that we wanted somebody to come home to, but again, not at the cost of our integrity, our beliefs, or anything like that, because we know that's just going to be a failed situation. And we weren't going to do things just for the sake of having a relationship. That's when we ended up getting the best relationship that we could have ever gotten. So I'd want to encourage you, even though you may want that, it's all about working on self first. A hard truth, I feel, is I have a lot of friends, and I know a number of people who did not or never see their flaws. And I feel sad for them, because I know unless they embrace those flaws and not take themselves that serious, they're never going to be happy with anyone else.
That's a really great point. Don't allow your need or desire for a relationship to have you compromise who you are as a person just to have that. You're setting yourself up for a miserable time. Maintaining your character, your personality, your morals, your values is more important than anything else. If you're not in a relationship right now, that's fine. Maybe this is your season to be single. It's fine. There's nothing wrong. Relationships don't define us. They're great to have, but they don't define us. They're only meant to complement our lives. So don't get caught up in that, oh, I'm going to do this just for the sake of I'm going to tolerate this, or I'm going to let this slide, or I'm going to be okay with this. No, being by yourself is not a crime. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes being alone is good. It gives us time to work on ourselves, to do the introspective work, to see where we are as a person, to make sure, find out how to love ourselves. Going out here trying to find relationships when you don't even love yourself, recipe for disaster. Work on yourself, take the time to heal, and you'll be amazed at the results you get. This was a great conversation. Shout out to Michael Jai White and Gillian White for being transparent and sharing their experiences on the LUVSTRONG podcast. I'm gonna leave a link down below for you to go over there and check them out. Let them know that bald brother sent you over there. And for more conversations about relationships and how to be your best self, check out these links over here, and I'll see you there.